So I hate to be the bearer of bad news here, but it looks like a second wave of inflation is coming. That's even exactly what the JP Morgan CEO said, Jamie Dimon. He says and he warns inflation and interest rates may remain elevated. That is extremely concerning, especially as millions and millions of Americans are waiting for rates to drop so their credit card becomes less expensive. They can actually afford a home. They could potentially refinance their cars. All these things are really hurting them at this time. Now, I want to explain what a second wave of inflation is going to look like and why experts believe this is coming very soon. The other problem, you may never be able to retire, all because inflation is going back up. So I'm going to break that down in just a moment. All I ask is one thing, takes 2 seconds. Go ahead, hit that like button if you enjoy these daily updates. And now let's begin. So before we get into this second wave of inflation, why we are seeing it started to go down. It got to 3.2%. And now the expectation is tomorrow it's going to come out and be 3.4%. Well, before we get to all that, I first just want to explain one thing and why many financial experts believe most Americans will never be able to afford to retire. Here's the reason why. They say that in the age of 30, you need at least 1 year's annual salary saved up. This means you're on track to retire. At the age of 40, you need 3 years of your annual salary saved up. By the age of 60, this is a big one, this is where most people fail. By the age of 60, you need 8 times your annual salary saved up. That's where most people fail, because that is where that amount is getting closer to $1 million. And most people don't have that saved up. But let's get into the second wave of inflation, because this is one of the main reasons most people will never be able to retire, because all their money is going to bills like their house, credit cards, car payment, cell phone, medications, and all that. Like I said, Jamie Dimon, the CEO of JP Morgan, is warning of inflation and interest rates staying elevated. And I want you to hear what he has to say. Just listen to this, because he's going to give you exactly why he thinks inflation is going back up. Listen to this.
Where does the Fed fit in, Jamie? Right now, it's pretty much priced in. We're going to get 3 rate cuts this year, possibly 2 or 3 rate cuts in 2025. Do you agree with that?
I'm a skeptic. I look at a lot of things, and forget just economic models for a second. $2 trillion of fiscal deficit, the Infrastructure and IRA Act, the green economy, the remilitarization of the world, the restructuring of trade are all inflationary. And that looks a little bit more like the 1970s to me. So I think there's a chance that people should be prepared for that inflation comes down, but then bounce around 3, maybe even bounced up a little bit, and those implied curves will change.
So that was his statement. This was back on January 8th. So we're, February, March, April, we're 3 months past that, right? Here's the problem. He's been right all along. Jamie Dimon has been right all along. Again, he is the CEO of the largest bank in the United States. So he is seeing stuff. He is getting data before anyone else. And this is remarkable. But, and again, I bring this to your attention because of what he is saying at this time. So look at this. It says Jamie Dimon, bank boss warns U.S. interest rates could rise to 8%. 8%. Now, obviously, that's potentially troubling, but the reason why he's saying this is because we keep on seeing that there's more inflationary pressures on the United States. Just look at this. It says March inflation, which is going to come out tomorrow. Another month of hot price gains is expected. Inflation likely rose again in March as high prices persist. Now, I want to show you what they are expecting. This is what economists are anticipating for tomorrow. Look at this. It says, economists anticipate the overall CPI reading for March to show that consumer prices rose by 0.3% on a monthly basis, down from 0.4% growth in February. Now, you're probably thinking, okay, it's going to go to 0.3%, okay? But that's down from 0.4% the month prior. That means inflation's going down. No, that means it's slowing down potentially. But again, year over year, here's the concern. It says, however, the annual inflation rate is expected to rise to 3.4% from 3.2%. The scheduled release is for 8:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. I will be addressing that tomorrow morning. Now, here's the reason why I bring this up. This right here is the 30-year fixed rate mortgage. This is the average mortgage, okay? And I want to show you what it is currently. It's clear over here. It's about 6.82%, okay? That's as of April 4th. Keep this in mind. This down here, what happened right after, during the pandemic, this is something that you do not see very often, okay? There's a very good chance we will never see this again in our lifetime, okay? Now, here's what is normal, okay? This is normal. 6.7%, 6%, okay? 6.3%, 5.9%, 8.54%, okay? 7%. You see the 7%, 7%. Okay, now up here, these are the 80s. These are much higher, but obviously here in the early 80s, okay, 17% for a 30-year fixed rate mortgage. Now, I don't see us getting back there, but the concern is that we are likely to see the 30-year fixed rate mortgage stay above 5%, above 6%. There are some that are expecting we are going to see it stay at 7%. Here's the reason why this is troubling. The CPI report, the shelter, okay, housing, accounts for more than 30%, more than a third of the entire CPI report. It's heavily weighted on housing. Well, if housing is showing that it is going to stay rather expensive for some time, here's the problem. We are likely to see housing impact the CPI report, but it's not really going to reflect until another 12 months, 18 months. Because here's what's happening. Rents are rising. Okay, cars are dropping in value. The problem, most people have a payment. They have to make a payment to the bank. They cannot just go and sell the cars for less than what they owe. For instance, let's say you owe $45,000 on a Tesla. And I'm bringing this up because this is exactly what I was asked when I was looking into a Tesla. This person owes $45,000. The car, in my opinion, and all the other cars very similar to it, are going for about $36,000 to $38,000. Okay? So that's exactly what I offered. The person, they were asking $50,000. Well, I can't give you $50,000. That's not even worth that. I told you this is what it's worth. And they said, well, they can't take that because of this, because of their payment. They owe this much money on the car. That's a problem. You're upside down. I'm not going to help you with that. But again, that's just one issue. Here's the other issue. According to CNN and Moody's economists, they are warning that the oil price surge is the #1 threat to the U.S. economy. And I talked about this the other day. Actually, I've talked about this multiple times over the past week, is what is going on with oil prices is going to impact gas prices. As gas prices go up, we're going to see people are traveling less, or they're not driving anymore now. If they go somewhere, they will go further away and they will likely take an airplane. So that's one issue. Businesses are not going to reinvest back into their business. They're going to try to, pretty much hoard cash because they don't know what's going to happen. That means more people are likely to go on unemployment. As more people go on unemployment rises, we see the economy start to shift, where less people have money, less people are spending money, which means you see in restaurants, they are pretty much empty. Hotels, pretty much empty. Shopping centers, same thing, pretty much empty. That is a concern because as all that stuff happens, our unemployment will go up. And this is going to cause the U.S. economy to somewhat struggle. Now, this is what I want to leave you with. As we see all these different signs that inflation is going back up, and we will know a little bit more tomorrow. If inflation comes out at a year over year at 3.4%, just understand that's in line with expectations. If it comes at 3.5 or higher, that is a concern. We'll likely see the stock market sell off. And the big one, a lot of people will question what happens moving forward. So I will leave you with that. Just understand we have a lot of questions right now for the U.S. economy and the American people. So as soon as I know more, I promise, I'll come back on and share all latest news and updates. But as of today, that is what we know. So again, thank you guys for watching. Consider subscribing, and I'll see you guys on the next one.